Who is your perfect customer? Why is that important to know? Because if you know who your perfect customer is, you're going to know who to prospect. Or more importantly, I should say, you're going to know who not to prospect. My name's Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. I'm going to walk you through the 9 questions, the 9 things that you need to ask yourself and look at anytime you get a prospect to say, is this a prospect I should spend time with? Number 1, do you know the industry? Does this customer work in an industry that you're familiar with? If you're not familiar with the industry, what makes you think that suddenly working with them is going to get you up to speed? The more you know the industry that the prospect is in, the better you're going to be in terms of being able to ask better questions, being able to understand what their needs are, being able to serve them. Number 2, their needs are similar to my best customers. In other words, early on in the conversation, you found out from them that their needs really are very similar to what some of your best customers have. You see, what you got to do is you got to take a look at your best customers and ask yourself, what have I helped them solve? What are the issues? And if the needs of this prospect line up similarly with that, then guess what? This is a prospect you want to spend time with. But if this prospect is asking you to help them solve a problem that you've never done before, that you've never worked on, again, what makes you think you're going to do it? Number 3, the job titles and the descriptions of the prospect line up with, again, your best customers. In other words, these are people who you're probably familiar with how they work. You kind of get a sense as to what they're all about. Yes, absolutely key, because again, I don't have time from a prospecting standpoint to educate myself on all the nuances of a completely different type of operation, completely different type of business. No, I need to stay in my own lane. Number 4, I know their decision-making process. In other words, you've been able to find out how they go about making their decisions. What does it look like? In other words, here's the whole situation. Do they have a bidding process? Do they have to wait until they have X number of bids in? Do they just go out and do a test? What's their approach? In other words, I want to understand their decision-making process, because again, if I don't understand their decision-making process, I can get all the way down to the end and suddenly they tell me, oh, by the way, we have to put this out for bid and we only go out to bid once a year. Oh, boom, you've lost. Number 5, you know their timeline for making a decision. This fits into number 4, timeline, because again, you may have a critical need that you can help them with, but if their timeline is not going to be, well, we're going to take care of this in the next couple of years, that's not a prospect I want to spend time with right now. I can't afford to spend time with. I've got to understand what their timeline is, because this is going to help me in terms of managing my internal resources, other subject matter experts, and where I want to put my effort. Number 6, they display integrity. Hey, if they don't display integrity, in other words, if you don't see them treating their employees well, if you don't see them treating their customers right, if you don't see them representing themselves properly in the marketplace, you don't want anything to do with them. Here's the whole thing. People who prospect and sell with integrity attract customers who have integrity. So chances are they're probably going to line up with this, but I put this in there very carefully because, again, you got to be careful. Don't get caught off guard by the shiny object. Number 7, you have a solution that will work for them. So you've gone through and you've figured out that this is the need that they have, and you have a potential solution. You see, you may find out their need, but because of how they operate, because of their business, and oh, by the way, it's a need that does line up with what some of your best customers have, but the problem is the solution that you have just doesn't fit their operating process, doesn't fit how they do things. I can't afford to spend time with them. Number 8, the problem is big enough that it warrants a decision. Oh, this one catches a lot of people. Here's the deal. So many times what happens is you'll have a great solution. They have a problem, but it's not big enough that they have to make a decision right now. They'll make a decision, but you know what? It's going to be down the road. You see, what I find today especially is that customers are only dealing with their number 1 or number 2 decisions. If it doesn't fit that, they're not dealing with it. Absolutely critical. Number 9, their value of price is similar to your best customers. Oh, this is key. This is absolutely key because again, if they have a different value of price, what am I chasing them for? I'm wasting my time. I can't afford to spend time with them. How do you find out about that? You simply ask them, hey, how have you made decisions like this in the past? I'm listening for nuances. I'm listening for things. I'm looking around their organization, their business. How do they do business? What are other things that they've purchased? What are other things that they've invested in? It begins to give you a perception of the price. Here's the deal. I went through 9. I went through 9 fairly quickly. If they don't line up with if the prospect does not line up with at least 6 of the 9, you don't want to spend time with them, period. I really shoot for 7 of the 9. If they don't line up to at least 7 of the 9, because again, there may be a couple of them that you don't quite know early on, but I'll tell you what, the closer they are to lining up to those 8 out of 9 or 9 out of 9, the better the probability you will have of being able to close the prospect. Hey, my name is Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. We put content out like this all the time. I want you to check out podcasts. I do the Sales Hunter podcast and I do Sales Logic podcast. Check them out because there's an additional abundance of content there. Also, I've written several books. I want you to check out the books. Why? Because I want to help you be successful in sales. I'm Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. Great selling.